Hey, folks, thanks for being here. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I'm having a wonderful day, but I have lots of wonderful days, actually. And we're going to talk about today, fun topic here, because it's kind of pertinent because 62% of all Americans are overweight. Now, I think that number's a little low, but a lot of folks are overweight. How many of you would like to lose weight? Raise your hands. A lot of you, right? I know you would, because I see you all day, every day in my practices. I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. Now, full disclosure, before we get too deep into this, on why diets don't work. That's what we're going to talk about today. Any diet, I don't care what it is, if it's a pill, if it's a stimulant, if it's a fad diet, if it's high protein, high fat, low fat, ketogenic. I'm going to tell you why it's probably not a good idea to go down that road. Maybe short term, but what to do about it in the long term. And full disclosure, I used to be really fat. I can say the F word on the radio. When I was little, maybe 10, 11, 12 years old, I was a little roly-poly. And I couldn't keep up with my cousins, Johnny, Paulie, and Mikey. And we'd always go out play stickball, and we lived in New Jersey. If you live in New Jersey, you know what stickball is. And I just couldn't run with them. I couldn't keep up with them. And so finally I said, I'm done. I don't want to be fat anymore. So what I started doing was I started drinking a lot of water because in my little tiny, 10, 11, 12-year-old mind, that water fills up my stomach. And so then I'm not going to be hungry because you put food in there to fill up your stomach. Well, little did I know, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, why that was one of the best things you can do to try to lose weight. And I didn't know it at the time, but it's a trick I want to share with you, too, about how to drink water and when to drink water to help you lose weight. So we're going to talk about why diets don't work. And a lot of you are going to go, and then you're going to listen to the whole show, and you're going to go, you know what? The three words I love to hear, that makes sense. It's all, if you listen to the show before, everything is logical. Everything is clearly laid out. It's well documented so that you can walk away from every show and go, I got a lot of information from that show today. About 44 million people are clinically obese, 34 million considered at risk. How much money spent on dieting? What do you think? $30 billion a year spent on weight loss, 314 million just on diet pills. And that may even be a low number right there. So this is kind of ironic that we spend money to get fat, then we spend money to lose the fat. And it's hard. I know it's hard because a lot of the food, there's a science now called food science. And big companies will hire food scientists to come in and analyze the food and say, what can I do to make Ahmad eat more of this? And we can add things like monosodium glutamate, glutamic acid. It'll stimulate the brain. High fructose corn syrup. We're going to talk about that a little later. Why that's so much worse than regular sugar. And what it does to the brain and what it means to you because you're going to be eating a lot more food. And if you eat a lot more food, you're eating more of their food and they're making more money. Hey, I'm all for capitalism. I think it's a great idea. But you also need to be educated as to what's going on so that you can make better decisions. So I always say if you're not fat, you're toxic. Because it's hard to gain weight when you're eating a really good diet. Now, some people will come to me and say, Dr. Joe, what do I do to gain weight? And I'll give them advice on that too. But losing weight, if you're eating good foods, it's going to normally stabilize or naturally stabilize where your weight should be. So stress makes everything worse, and it confuses your appetite signals, and it messes with your body chemistry. So there's three types of stress. There's physical, chemical, and emotional stress. And the emotional stress, of course, we've all been there. We've had tough times. Maybe a family member dies. Maybe you're going through a tough time in a relationship or at work. Those are emotional stresses. The two things that you have control over are the physical and the chemical. And if you can manage the physical and the chemical, guess what? The emotional is a lot easier. That's something I want you to consider. I can't control, maybe you can't control a bad relationship or a stupid boss or the market tanking or whatever it is. But you can control the physical and the chemical. And when you control those two, the brain starts to work better and you're not going to have these appetite centers going crazy. If you're under stress, your body says, uh-oh, something's wrong. I need to store energy. You know another word for energy is? Calories or fat. So I have to store this fat, and so the body now will start storing it with the thought process, the body's thinking this, that I'm under attack, I got to do something about it. So the physical stress, if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, raise your hand if you have any of that. Raise your hands. I know, oh, by the way, folks, this is radio. I can't see you raise your hands, okay? But if you have stress, physical stress, many times it's a bone out of place, it's a muscle spasm, and we need to put the body, the bones, and the muscles back in place. I'm a chiropractor. I'm board certified in chiropractic, orthopedics, pain management, double board certified in nutrition, BS in nutrition, retired dietitian, award-winning author. This radio show is the largest health and wellness radio broadcast in the country. It's heard coast to coast and around the world. And so I want to get the body well from multiple levels. And so the physical stress is a bone out of place, pinching a nerve, a muscle spasm, the colon spasmed. And many times you're treating your problems chemically and the problem is physical. So my team of chiropractors and I, we find the bones that are out of place, put them back in place, balance out the muscles. And people usually say, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. But 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. You don't feel your thyroid, your spleen, your kidneys, your gallbladder, all controlled by nerves. So my concern is not only nerves that feel pain might be pinched, the nerves that don't feel pain might be pinched. And then the nutritional part, which we're going to continue on today pretty much in depth about how the brain works, what happens when you eat certain foods. Certain foods will stimulate your appetite, certain will suppress your appetite. We got to get the body working properly, and you have control of the food, the chemistry. So you have to eat anyway, and there's 120,000 good foods that you can eat. There's no reason why you should be choosing the bad ones. The only reason, here's the reason, well, there's two reasons, why you choose bad foods. They're cheap and available, and they make you feel good short term. It's like drinking alcohol. It might make you feel good short term, but long term, there's going to be consequences. You always have to pay the price. You can't get away with doing things and expect not to get away with it. You're always going to get caught. And when it comes to chemistry in the body, you're always going to get caught. So certain foods are actually good for you. And one of the things we do, coming up on a break pretty soon, one of the things we do is we chew too fast. And if you chew your food too fast, it doesn't allow for proper digestion and assimilation. What happens is when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. Remember that. That's going to be a take-home for you today. You're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. And so if I can get large quantities of nutrition into your body, guess what? You're not going to be hungry anymore. Folks, got to go to a break. I'm going to open up the phone lines if you have any questions, not just about diet, anything related to health. The number is 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Lots of good information there. You can order supplements, make appointments, send me questions, listen to archive radio shows, my podcasts, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. Hey, we got a lot more to cover. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. This is the show where we naturally get you well and keep you well. So you get a little play on words. Naturally, I want to get you well and keep you well. It's a little cute little phrase there. We're talking today about why diets don't work. And having been a former fat person, I can understand what most of you are going through, a majority of you anyway. And you've tried everything. You've tried the high fat and the low fat and the plans, and you pay in the food, and you buy the prepackaged food. And the problem is this, is that when we try to lose weight, many times we forget that we have to give the body nutrition. So you can be buying these prepackaged foods, and you're not getting the body the nutrients that it needs. So you might lose some weight because you're not pumping in as many calories, or depending, we can talk later on about high protein and low protein and paleo and all this. But what really works long term? It's a lifestyle. It's not a diet. That's the secret right there. So you have to start looking at the nutritional value of the food. If you're buying prepackaged foods with monosodium glutamate in them, diet pills many times are nothing more than stimulants, like coffee. Caffeine's a stimulant, and you start taking these things, and it increases your metabolism, which is great. At what cost? And sometimes the cost is extreme, because I've had people, don't eat hardly anything and live on coffee. I knew this girl one time, and it was great to go out with her because, she never ate. But she'd drink coffee 6, 7, 8 times a day, big coffee, skinny as a rail. But the problem was that the coffee, number one, is an acid, which is going to tie into Linda's call. So, Linda, hold on there. This is going to tie into your call in a second. And if you put acid in your body, it's going to rob the body of nutrients. So the caffeine is a stimulant, but you're also robbing the body of nutrients. So let's go to the call now. If you have a question, folks, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. And Linda, tell us your question.
Yes, sir. My sister and I are in our 70s, and over the last couple of years, we've been diagnosed with osteoporosis. So I want to see if you have a better plan than taking the typical medication or calcium supplements.
Yes, well, the medications, again, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not here to tell you to take drugs or not take drugs. But what the medication does, it builds up the outside of the bone. It's kind of like a marshmallow. You burn a marshmallow over the fire. It's crispy on the outside, but still weak on the inside. So, and there's side effects to the medications too. So again, I'm not telling you to take it or not take it. The problem with bones is they're made up of a lot more than just calcium. It's calcium, magnesium, boron, silica. You need vitamin D to get the bones in there. Vitamin K, something nobody even talks about, vitamin K. So you need a wide variety of nutrients to build bone. And even though most of the bone is calcium, it would be like making a cake and leaving out the baking soda or the baking powder. It's not going to work, even though it's just a half a teaspoon. With all the other ingredients, it's the thing. Everything is necessary to make it work. So what do we do? Number one, the main advice that they give is weight-bearing exercises. And there's something called Wolff's Law. Somebody named Dr. Wolff, I have no idea who that is, decided that when stress is put on the bone gets stronger. So according to Wolff's Law, if you put stress on the bones, physical stress, it's going to build up the bone density. If the bones are out of alignment, if you have pinched nerves, we talked about that earlier, you're building up strong muscles around crooked bones, and that's dangerous. We need to build up strong muscles around straight bones. So this is why when I have anyone exercise, whether you're an Olympic athlete or professional or if you're working on osteoporosis, make sure all 206 bones in the body are lined up the best they can be, because otherwise you're going to cause damage physically. As far as osteoporosis diet goes, you want to avoid the acid foods. So here's the kicker. When you put acid foods in your body, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, these are acid foods. And the body uses calcium to neutralize acid, along with other minerals. So you're drinking coffee, let's say. You're trying to lose weight. You're drinking coffee. It's increasing your energy and metabolism. But the coffee is sucking calcium out of your bones, your blood, your muscles, and can lead to things like osteoporosis. As we get older, our stomach acid drops, and you need stomach acid to absorb calcium. So if you're taking antacids or medication for acid reflux, it can prevent you from properly absorbing calcium, B12, iron, and magnesium. So the long and short of it is you really want to eat more of a plant-based diet, which has a lot of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds in it, and a lot of nutrients. Personally, I would recommend Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source because those are two supplements. They're on my website, drjoeesposito.com. And one scoop of Essential Source is about 10 servings of raw fruits and vegetables. Prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and the Super Greens alkalize the system. Now, we talked about acid. This neutralizes the acids. So weight-bearing exercises, make sure the spine's lined up. A lot more of a plant-based diet, because I've never known someone who's on a plant-based diet to get osteoporosis ever. And then supplements, things like Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. The chances are you don't need more calcium, you need less acid. So there's my answer, Linda.
Okay, well, thank you so very much.
All right, Linda, anything else you let me know, okay? I'm always here for you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Folks, if you have a question, the number's 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. And so it kind of ties in. I'll play off Linda's question there on what to eat. When your body is hungry, it's not hungry for food, it's hungry for nutrition. So eating foods that are higher on the nutrition scale, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, you're going to eat less food. All the time I get emails and calls from folks that get the Super Greens and the Essential Source, and those are two powders. They're on my website. And they say, Dr. Joe, I'm eating this. When I take the Super Greens and the Essential Source, I'm eating a lot less food. So I'm actually saving money by buying the Super Greens and the Essential Source because I'm eating less food, and I'm losing weight, and I'm feeling better, and I have more energy, and we like talk about with Linda getting the nutrients in the body to help it work better. So I don't see a downside to eating well. Well, there is. The only downside I see is that other stuff tastes really good. Meats and dairies and coffees and sodas and alcohols and cheeses. I used to eat that way, and I know they taste good. At least I remember. It's been 31 years since I've done it. But if you knew what I knew, you would do what I do. Because the more education, the more knowledge you get on how the body works, the less likely you are to abuse your body. I mean, think about this. You put a little square hamburger that probably is vegetarian, probably doesn't have any meat in it, on white bread with fake cheese, fried, and you put that in your body, and somehow, miraculously, the body builds liver tissue, or eyeballs, or fingernails, or skin. The body is amazing, but you can only abuse it for so long. And eventually, you're going to break down. Everyone does. It's impossible for you not to do it. So when patients come in my office, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and they say, Dr. Joe, I can't believe I'm so sick. I've never had this problem before. Well, you've never been as old as you are now. And so that's why minimum amount of nutrients, minimum supplements, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Those are on the website. If you want information, also on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account, you can do that. But I would recommend you do that. And I tell people, do it for a month. See how you feel. It's about $2 a day. Notice how you feel. And then if you stop doing it, most people, major majority, say, wow, I really see a difference when I don't take that. And that kind of it's a gateway. It's a gateway supplement. And then you start eating more fruits and vegetables, more salads. And what's going to happen is you're naturally going to stay away from the bad foods that make you gain weight. Okay, that's the music. When we come back, I'm going to talk about high protein is better than low protein, high carb, low carb, fats. We're going to talk about all that. And then you can decide what the best direction is for you to go. Folks, if you have a question, number is 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-Dr. Joe. My website to order supplements, send me questions, listen to my podcasts, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, because of you are the number one Dr. Joe in the world. But lots of good information on the website. We archive hundreds of hours of radio shows, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey, don't go anywhere. Welcome to the Dr. Joe Show. I am the aforementioned Dr. Joe Esposito. I'm so glad you could be here because we give you information on healthcare that really, really works. My goal every time that we get together is that you walk away and say, wow, I learned this, and this from the show. And today we're talking about why diets don't work. And if you've been on a diet, chances are you've been on more than one diet because they don't work. Very seldom does somebody go on a diet. In fact, there's one of the major groups, a weight group out there. I won't say their name. And several years ago, I contacted them. And I said, listen, I'd like to be a speaker, for your group because I can teach people how to eat right and how to get the right nutrition and deal with leptin and ghrelin and neurotransmitters and hormones. And they got back to me a few weeks later, whatever it was, and it was somebody higher up, and they said, well, Dr. Joe, we're not going to have you come speak to our group. And I said, I'm just curious why. They said, because if people listen to you, they wouldn't need us. And I thought, interesting business model, and it's true. I can't argue with the fact. They're absolutely right. So if you give the body the nutrition that it requires, the chances are you're not going to gain weight. And I want you to understand a difference between hunger and cravings. Those are two different things. And you may not know that because every time you get a craving, you blow it off as I'm hungry. I could go for a bagel, ice cream, cookies, donuts. Very seldom, if you're hungry, do you say, I could go for a salad, watermelon, broccoli. Very seldom does that happen. So if there's a bad food attached to it, chances are it's a craving and not hunger. So I want you to think about that next time you feel like eating. Is it a craving or if it's hunger? If it's true hunger, it's probably okay to eat. If it's a craving, you need to not give into it. It's a big difference. Hunger is like a little discomfort. It causes a little pain and discomfort in the body, and that's nature's way of saying, all right, I want to get rid of this discomfort. What can I do? Well, I could eat, and that's a real simple way to do, because otherwise, eating is expensive, and not just in finances. You have to get the food. You have to prepare the food. You have to store the food. You have to eat the food. So there's a lot of time involved, a lot of investment, aside from money, in eating. And so what we find now is fast food restaurants serve a purpose. They take away some of that investment. Not the money part, but the time, the storage, the preparation. Pull in, you got your food. So we just saved you a lot of investment. The downside is it'll kill you. And that's where the problems come in. So think about that. Are you really hungry or are you just craving something? And certain foods like meat, sugar, dairy, chocolate, they stimulate opiate receptor sites in your brain. Now, if you're prone to addiction, it could be food, drugs, alcohol, gambling. If you're prone to addiction, you have less dopamine receptors in your brain. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that's released into your brain, and it gets absorbed. There's a receptor where it gets absorbed, and it gives you pleasure. And we find that people that are adrenaline junkies have low adrenaline receptors. People that are addicts have low dopamine receptors. And so you need more stimulation to make yourself feel good. And that's a problem. So if you're prone to addiction, you need more to stimulate, so you eat addicting foods, and you get more of that high from it. And the addicting foods, the big ones are meat, sugar, dairy, and chocolate, but alcohol does it too. And so you got to understand that your brain is different than other people's. And what happens is once you start eating right, once you start loading your body up with nutrition, the body will reset itself. You can build new receptors. You can build new neurotransmitters. And I'm going to talk about how to build more dopamine, how to get more dopamine in your body. Going to have to hang on to that one because I got to go to the callers. Bart, how can we make your day better?
Hey, just a question here. My fiance doesn't eat enough in a day's time to keep a canary alive. I guess it's kind of the opposite of what you're talking about.
Sure.
But, I mean, if she eats half a sandwich a day, that's a lot.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, is there anything that I can do or something herbal or whatever I can give her to stimulate her appetite?
Yes, the answer is yes. And a lot of that, sometimes that comes from a psychological thing. I don't want to be fat, so I'm just going to eat a half a sandwich. And like I talked about this gal I knew who drank a lot of coffee.
Well, she has been, she was diagnosed a couple of years ago with early onset dementia. Now, it doesn't really manifest itself too much, but she has very little short-term memory.
Sure.
You ask her about something 20 years ago, she'll tell you all about it in great detail.
Okay.
You ask her what she had for dinner
Can't remember
2 days ago, she has no idea.
All right, so does she have acid reflux or heartburn, burping, gas, bloating?
No.
Okay. Because a lot of times I find people, if the stomach isn't working right, the stomach releases a hormone called leptin, which makes you feel full, and then the small intestine releases something called ghrelin. So most probably there's an imbalance. Either it's a psychological issue or there's an imbalance in her small intestine of good bacteria. Because the good bacteria help produce the ghrelin, which goes into the hypothalamus in your brain, the part of your brain that makes you feel hungry. And so there's something not communicating between the gut and the brain. That's most likely what's going on. So my first step would be to recolonize her colon with good bacteria. So
okay. I've seen that, you get the 50 billion
right.
Whatever that take every day.
Okay,
Would that be beneficial?
Start there. Keep her away from sugar because breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas have sugar in it that can kill the good bacteria. Of course, I'd get her to Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source without a doubt because those have prebiotics, probiotics. Prebiotics feed the bacteria that are in your colon. Probiotics are the bacteria. So you want to feed the ones she has, and you want to add new ones to it. So taking a probiotic supplement isn't a bad idea. Make sure it's a high-quality one because the cheap ones, it may have 50 billion microbes in there when it's made, but if it's a cheap one, they die by the time you take them. So Super Greens, Essential Source, water. If she has gas or bloating or acid reflux, the stomach may be spasming or the colon may be spasming. It's not working properly. And then talk to her. And one of the things you have to do is kind of give her permission. She may not even realize it might be something going back to her father yelled at her. You're going to be fat if you eat that. And so there could be a psychological component. So talking to her and saying, listen, sweetie, we got to get enough nutrients in your body. That'll help the short-term memory. Give her a reason why she should be eating. And then high-quality foods, the Super Greens, the Essential Source, salads, vegetables. And hopefully we can reset the brain, the hypothalamus, and get it working again. The good news is the brain has a quality called plasticity. Plasticity means like plastic. It can reshape itself. So if there's brain issues, many times if we do the right things, the brain reshapes itself and starts working properly again. But once you start loading her up on nutrients, the body should start to reboot and start getting hungry again.
Okay.
All right.
I'll give that a whirl. Thank you very much,
Bart.
sir.
Appreciate the call. And that's really important that you understand that the brain can remodel itself. And this is why I remember going to school, 30, 35 years ago, and somebody had a stroke, and they said, once a brain cell is damaged, it's damaged forever. Alcohol would do it. A stroke would do it. And then you'd see people have a stroke, and they'd start to get better. And there was never an explanation as to why they were getting better. Well, once a brain cell is dead, it's dead forever, but these people are getting better. And more modern research has shown the brain has plasticity, and plasticity is a way for the brain to actually heal. And it can either grow new brain cells or rewire the damaged area, which is pretty cool. Hey, folks, do me a favor. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. We send out lots of good information there. I want to be your doctor. My team of doctors and I want to be your doctors. So follow us there. If you have a question, give us a call here, 844-44-DR-JOE, to order Super Greens, Essential Source, if you want to make appointments, listen to blogs, read articles, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. Hey, folks, don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. A lot more to talk about. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. This is the show where we give you information that you can take home and use every single day so that you can naturally get well and stay well. That's our goal. And you have control over your diet. When patients come in the office, we're chiropractors, we talk about the physical issues. Do you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain? Because you can do therapies and you can do electrical stimulation, and those are all very well and good, and I support that. But if you have a bone out of place pinching a nerve, you need to get that bone put back in place, and then the other therapies work well. But without those bones being put back in place, you may not be getting the results that you're looking for. And so that's why it's important, and we get a lot of patients from other doctors, patients that have been to other doctors, they want second opinions, and they'll say, Dr. Joe, you guys take a look at it and see what's going on. This patient isn't responding the way we wanted him to. You look at them, see if they have bones out of place. My team of doctors will do that, and if it's out of place, we'll call the doctor, call the physical therapist, whatever it is, and say, hey, listen, we're going to put them on this treatment, and then we can always send you back for the physical therapy if they still need it. And I said, thank you, Dr. Joe. That's awesome. Our goal, the doctors I work with, are to get the patient well. And that's kind of nice. And I've worked with some doctors that maybe that isn't their goal. We don't meet when it comes to goals. And I just don't refer to them anymore. It's very simple. I just take them off my referral list. And I've got a list of doctors I refer to. And a lot of doctors love being on that list, I'll tell you, because we have a lot of patients and we help out a lot of other doctors. And in the process, we help you out because we want to get you well. So we're talking today about why diets don't work. And we talked earlier about hunger versus cravings. But here's the big secret. You want a secret? Here's a secret for you. There's a part of your brain that controls hunger, and there's a part of your brain that controls thirst. And when you're a baby, those are two separate parts of the brain. And as you get older, those two parts of the brain grow together. So many times when you're hungry, you're not hungry, you're thirsty. So here's my trick. And this one works really well, folks, and this may save you a ton of money on supplements and pills and diet plans. I want you to have a big glass of water, 8, 10, 15, 20 ounces before a meal, about 15 or 20 minutes before a meal. Watch what happens. So many times you're thirsty, not hungry. And when you solve that problem, 20 minutes later, you're going to eat substantially less food. Because again, if you're eating super high concentrations of nutrients, good foods, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, supplements, you're not going to have that hunger. And I'm going to take a call now. If you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-Dr. Joe. And I do want to talk about how sugar, especially high fructose corn syrup, can either make you hungry or make you feel full, depending what you do with it. So let's go back to the callers. If you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Oh, by the way, that number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. So if you hear me on the air, as soon as I'm done, unless it's a weekend show, you can call my offices during weekdays, and we'll go ahead and take the call from you, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Beverly, how can we make your day better?
I'd like to know whether or not my itchy skin might be caused by my diet. I've had it over time, and I have gone to dermatologists off and on. Yeah,
can you shut off? Can you lower your radio, Beverly?
It has not been cleared up, and I'm not sure what to do about it.
Okay, Beverly, can you lower your radio, please? There you go. Yes. You go. You're hearing yourself echo in the radio there. Okay, so folks, when you do call, please turn off your radio. You can listen while you're on hold. Buffy, we have a guest screener today. Buffy's over there today, and you can listen to the show through there. So the answer could be yes. And there's a couple of things I want you to consider with itchy skin. Number one, I want you to look at your dryer sheets and your clothes soap, because many times dryer sheets and clothes soap can cause itchiness. So number one, get rid of the dryer sheets. They don't really make your clothes soft. They create a film, like an oil film on your clothes that make it feel soft. So no dryer sheets. Out the door with them. As far as your sheets, as far as your laundry detergent goes, make sure you use on a hypoallergenic one. No fragrances, no detergents. They're hypoallergenic. They have natural brands. A lot of commercial brands now have the no perfume ones. Start there. Number two, what usually happens is, can you shut off the radio, Bev? I'm going to have to block you off there. Got it? Still there? Still there, Bev?
Hello?
Okay, yeah. Okay,
I'm here.
You. Okay, good. Thanks for shutting off the radio. Okay, so number two, when I see itchy skin, the first organ I think of is the liver. Because the liver, your body detoxifies. Whenever you put junk in, it breaks it down, uses what it can, and throws out the rest. And it detoxifies through your breath, your urine, your skin, your feces, with women in their menstrual cycle. So many times itchy skin could be a yeast infection. And I'll tell you how to do that. Let me tell you how to do that now. Tonight when you go to bed, put a glass of water next to your bed. Clear glass of water. When you wake up tomorrow morning, before you get out of bed, get a big mouthful of spit and spit into the glass. And what you're going to find is you're going to have little streamers coming down. Like if you do have these little streamers, kind of like a jellyfish, chances are you have what's called a systemic yeast infection. And if that's the case, then you need to call my office and we need to get you on a whole protocol because yeast infections can be very, very dangerous. So we need to get that taken care of. Also, you want to cut out the sugar. That's going to be a thing that can cause the itchiness. And try those things. And topically, I want you to try extra virgin organic coconut oil. So rub the coconut oil on your skin 3, 4, 5 times a day. It absorbs really quickly. Make sure it's organic. And if we can get the liver cleaned up, if you have a yeast infection, we got to get rid of that. And the coconut oil, one of those 3 should help the problem. Fair enough? Okay. I guess she's gone. What do we got here? We've got a couple of minutes. All right. If you're holding on, folks, I got lots of callers. 844-44-Dr. Joe. 844-44-DRJOE. My website is drjoeesposito.com or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world. And it's also under Health Plus Wellness Center. Sometimes that one comes up first. That's my office. That's the name of my office is Health Plus Wellness Center. And you can listen to archived radio shows and videos. I videotape a lot of my lectures. And so if you like a video blog, we have that. If you have an audio blog, we have that for you. I write articles in case you're old school, like to read. My books are there, Eating Right for the Health of It. That's there, Prescription for Extreme Health. My supplements. This is something, folks, I really want you to consider trying. Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're on the website as well, also available on Amazon. And another thing, somebody just sent me a message on Facebook. Oh, by the way, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. And they said, what about cold and flu season? There's 2 products I have there, and I'm not telling you they're for that because I can't do that. But one is called Wellness Booster, Wellness Tonic and Seasonal Booster. And what they do is one of them helps build your immune system, and one of them actually helps if you are sick. It's ginger, horseradish, cayenne pepper, onion, and garlic. And so that's the tonic, and that's the one that actually helps fight viruses, germs, and bacteria. The other one actually helps build your immune system. I take the immune builder every single day, okay? And that's important to me because I want to make sure I get good white blood cells. That's all on the website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. So a lot to talk about when it comes to why diets don't work. If you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. And I see a mod pushing the button. That means I got to go to a break, so I'm trying to drag it out a little bit here. I don't want to go into a new topic. When we come back, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about sugar, what that does to you, the good guys, certain foods you can eat that are going to help suppress your appetite, what supplements work, digestive enzymes, things that might be causing stress on your system that can cause a problem, physical, chemical, and emotional, and then the hormones, ghrelin and leptin. You got to learn about those, folks, because they're the ones that either make you hungry or make you full. Hey, the number here, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Give us a call. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. I am the aforementioned Dr. Joe Esposito, and I am very glad that you're here. And today we're talking about why diets don't work. And they don't, because a diet, by definition, is short-term. I'm going to do something different than what I'm usually doing, and then the diet usually comes to an end, and then you go back to this other lifestyle, and that's a problem. And here's the thing. If you go on a high-fat diet, okay, the ketogenic diet, you got to eat 70-80% of your calories from fat, and you can do proteins, very little or no, certainly no processed carbs. And people do it, and then they'll lose weight because your body uses glucose as its primary fuel. And if there's no glucose available, the body then converts the fat into ketones and uses that as a fuel. So your body's smart. It has a secondary way to get energy into the cells. And the problem with that is it's not practical. It's really almost impossible to live on a 70-80% fat diet because eventually a lot of things that have fat don't have fiber in them. And so many times people say, well, I'm just going to eat fat. I'm going to eat, meat. I'm going to eat bacon. I'm going to eat coconut oil. I'm going to eat eggs. All well and good if you want to lose weight, but it's not practical because you got to get the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that you can only get from plants. There's even things called phytochemicals, phyto meaning plant. And so it doesn't work. Now, if you're going to do that, you need to be eating salads every day as well and a lot of raw vegetables. And that might be a better way to do it. But all in all, it's really not sustainable. You just can't do that for long periods of time. And then people go on a low-fat diet. Well, that's okay, too. If you're on a low-fat diet and you're eating a good diet of fruits, vegetables, some nuts and seeds, that'll probably make you lose weight, too. But here's what most people do. You go on this high-fat diet. Let's assume you're going to do a ketogenic diet. But then you have cheat day. and you eat breads and cookies and cakes and donuts and pastas, or you're eating mostly fat, but you're still going to have that bagel every day. And then you're just eating a ton of calories, and the body's using the carbohydrates first as fuel, and then it stores the fat, and it just becomes a mess. So the best thing to do is go to a more plant-based diet. The plant-based diet is where you want to be. And so for breakfast, I always have Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. That's always my breakfast, usually a piece of fruit or two. Snack time, usually around 10, 11 o'clock, I start getting hungry because I didn't have a lot of volume in my diet there. So then I'll have a couple of handfuls of nuts. I like to make soup. Sometimes I have a little bit of soup. I may save that for lunch. One meal a day at least has got to be a salad, and throw a lot of stuff in there. Lettuce and cucumbers and tomatoes and broccoli, because different nutrients are found in different foods, and you want to load your body up with this variety of fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds. The Essential Source and the Super Greens solve a lot of that problem. It's about 10 servings of raw fruits and vegetables in the Essential Source per serving, but you still need to eat the whole foods. And then dinner, I'm usually a little more flexible on. I've eaten a good diet so far throughout the day. I've had lots of energy. I treated my patients. And now maybe I want to go out to dinner with my friends, or maybe I'll have a date, and I'll be a little more lenient there. But I never eat animal products. And that's something, if you're going to eat animal products, please make sure that they're organic. But a lot of times when I get hungry, I get ravenous, and I can't stop eating, it's because my stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm. When your stomach pushes up against the diaphragm, you might be diagnosed with acid reflux, heartburn, hiatal hernia. Those are some diagnoses you might get, and many times doctors will give you the antacids to take. But you need the stomach acid to break proteins into amino acids. So if you're taking these antacids, that's not usually a good thing long term because you can't absorb your nutrients properly. So what I have to do when I just get ravenous is I have to get my stomach pulled down away from the diaphragm. I have to get what we call a stomach adjustment. And I grab my doctors and I have them pull my stomach away from my diaphragm, and almost instantly, the need to keep eating goes away. Now, I have no research on this because nobody wants to research it. There's no money in it. But I believe that when your stomach isn't working properly, you're not producing something called leptin. Leptin is a hormone that's released from your stomach, goes up into your brain, and says that you're full. So if your stomach isn't working right, your brain isn't receiving the leptin, or if your brain isn't working right. And I find when I get people's stomachs working, many times their hunger just goes away. So if you have acid reflux and heartburn and burping and gas and bloating, that might be the thing to fix your ravenous hunger. Let's go back to the callers. David, how can we make your day better?
Oh, hey, Dr. Joe. I just had a quick question for you. I just wanted to tell a little quick backstory. I sat here about 5 years ago, and I was overweight and tired and felt terrible. And I said, I'm not going to go on a diet. I'm going to change my diet. And I did, and I got a good blender and just started throwing some fruits and vegetables in there. Of course, discovered you once I started looking into stuff, and you've taught me a lot. And I just, people, you've got to understand how important it is. It was like, I looked like Santa Claus. I was 45, I had a bowl full of jelly belly. Now I'm almost 50. I look more like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Awesome.
And it was like the closest thing I can compare it to is like when you're a kid and you're growing up and you're getting bigger and stronger. There was just like this phase there where I was just, losing weight and you're just feeling better and you're doing things you didn't think you'd ever do again. And
yep.
I don't know, it's just huge. And the way I made it work for me, I'm not a big, cook or anything. So I just got a really good blender and you just throw some fruits and vegetables, Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, apple, banana, carrot, whatever. But as you do it, you start to sort of respond to food, so you don't really crave some of the bad stuff anymore. You would be sick and maybe buy like a big giant piece of cake or something. But my question for you was, I didn't ever set out to be like a vegetarian, but I've totally just gotten away from meat because I just don't need it. And I was, not planning to be a vegan either, but...
Right, I understand, yeah. Well, we're running low on time here, so go ahead.
So is it worth it, like putting kefir and yogurt and stuff in smoothies? Is it
No.
Is it worth doing that? I mean, I'm assuming it's the good, organic, not flavored stuff.
Well, I don't do dairy products. I would never recommend you do dairy. You can do coconut kefir, almond kefir. That might be okay, but it's not really necessary. If you're doing a good diet, you're doing the super greens, the essential source, it's not going to add that much to it. So if you want to do it for flavor, that's great, but I wouldn't do the dairy. And if you have to do dairy, which I don't think you should, I think you should use organic dairy.
Okay, but if you're just doing it for the nutrition, then it's for the money, and
not that big
it's not worth the effort.
Not worth it for me. Absolutely right. David, thank you for your kind words. I do appreciate that. Thanks so much. Folks, if you have a question, the number here is 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, if you want to order Super Greens, Essential Source, listen to podcasts, watch podcasts, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, and also the supplements are available on Amazon as well. Hey, listen, I got to go to a break. Don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. I do appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know everybody's busy, and hopefully we'll give you lots of good information, as we always do, that you can take home with you and share with your friends, your family, your loved ones, because we want to naturally get you well and keep you well, and that's the goal here. And we're talking today about why diets don't work, and because, number one, they're temporary, and number two, many times they're not practical. And you can buy prepackaged foods, and it may help you lose weight, but then you're not going to get the nutrients in many cases that you need. So you've got to get the nutrients into the body for the body to work properly. Your brain is the thing we're feeding, right? Jefferson Airplane. Feed your head. We need to feed your head, and you've got to get the nutrients into the body. And A, if you're not absorbing them, B, you're not putting them in, or C, your body is not utilizing them properly. That's when we start to see problems. That's addictions. That's adrenaline junkies. That's people that do stupid things. Anybody know anybody like that? I've never met anyone like that. And I lied. So we've got to get the body working right. And that's why many times if you meet somebody who's just acting weird, I like to step back and say, why are they doing this? Why is their brain not functioning the way it's supposed to? And a lot of times you look at their diet and it's pretty clear. They're eating nothing but junk, and the brain can't run on junk. That's just how it is. And remember, there's more nerve connections in the gut than there are in the brain. And so we've got to really treat the gut well. Now, I promised you I'd talk about leptin and ghrelin. Now, there's a hormone called leptin, and it's produced in your stomach, and it gets into your blood system, goes to your brain, it tells you that you're full. High fructose corn syrup suppresses the production of leptin, so if you eat a lot of food containing high fructose corn syrup, it's not going to make you feel full because you're not getting the message to the brain like you're supposed to. In fact, high fructose corn syrup not only suppresses leptin, but it stimulates the production of a hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin is a hormone that makes you feel hungry. So if you're eating a lot of sugars, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, high fructose corn syrup is pretty much everywhere, chances are you want to keep eating. Now, we said if your stomach is pushing up against your diaphragm, you might have a hiatal hernia or acid reflux or burping. That can prevent you from absorbing nutrients and getting the messages to the brain too. And I'd probably say 80% of our patients, when we test them, have something going on with their digestive system. Either a spasm or muscles not working properly, hiatal hernia. And most of them are thrilled when you fix their stomach. So I always said if I could never adjust another patient, I'm a chiropractor, if I could never see another chiropractic patient again, I could keep myself extremely busy working on just digestive systems. And when patients come in our offices, we work on both. And you can do an MRI study on patients, and when they eat sugar, the part of their brain that experiences pleasure lights up. If you give them drugs like heroin or cocaine, the same part of the brain lights up, only not as much. Sugar is actually more stimulating to the dopamine receptor sites like the nucleus accumbens than cocaine and heroin. That's why it's so hard to give up that sugar. Let's go back to the callers. Winston, how can we make your day better? Hello? Going once. Going twice. Winston's gone. We got an open line now, folks. 844-44 Joe if you have a question. Dina, how can we make your day better?
Hi, I have two quick questions. You talk about the stomach and pulling it down from the diaphragm. I want to hear more about that procedure, and does it hurt? And then if you could talk to me a little bit more about your greens product. There's a lot of greens products out there,
sure.
And I just kind of want to know the difference between what yours is and what theirs is. I know about all the ingredients and everything, but what makes yours different than someone else's, if that's okay to ask?
Mine has my picture on the front.
I love it.
That's the difference. No, there's a lot more than that. Okay, the stomach adjustment. Does it hurt? No. You basically, it's like a massage. We go right below the rib on the left side. That's where the stomach is. We slide off the rib and we gently pull the stomach down to the feet and toward the back at the same time. A little angle there. It doesn't hurt. Some people that really have it bad are very ticklish, and when we do it, they lose their minds because they're so ticklish. And we have ways around it. We put their hand under our hand because you can't tickle yourself, and we were able to pull the stomach down. But we do it on babies. I had a baby come in the other day, a couple of weeks old, horrible rashes all over their body, wasn't eating, spitting up constantly, and we did that to the baby. And, I called the mother the next day. I said, how'd the baby do? And he wasn't going to the bathroom. He pooped 4 times. He slept like unbelievable, she said, and they had little gloves on him. She said, I took the gloves off, and he's not tearing at his skin anymore. So a lot of skin issues come from digestive issues, too. So does it hurt? No. The Essential Source and the Super Greens, there's a lot of products out there. One of the issues they have is they taste awful. In fact, I buy other products. You taste them. And I just bought one the other day, and it looked great. I mean, it had a lot of good ingredients in it, and I took a sip, and I can eat anything. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is horrible. Who would ever, no matter how good it was for you, why would somebody do it? So our Essential Source tastes great. The Super Greens alkalize the system. Wheatgrass, barley grass, alfalfa grass, chlorella, spirulina, adults for iodine. And so I made 2 different products. And people say, why don't you just make one? Because I recommend you take both. Some people just need one. Some people just need the other. Most people need both. Right. So they taste good. They're relatively inexpensive, about $1 a day each one. And so I've tried others, and I haven't found any that I get the better results than I do with my Super Greens and Essential Source.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot.
Thanks for the question. I appreciate that. Oh, you guys are so smart. I love you guys. How are we doing? We can take another call. Monique, how can we help your day today?
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. Okay. So I have this friend of mine who has had some schizophrenic episodes. He was pretty much raw vegan before he started having multiple psychoses, and he's been doing much, much better. But he kind of got into being more of a junk food vegan after.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah, and many people from the church that he started going to, they will, state like,
pretty quickly,
God allows you to eat meat and whatnot, and I think that they just kind of influenced in that area. And I'm listening to you on a Christian station. So 2 question is,
real quick,
can nutrients help a person with schizophrenia, like the niacin and what you're talking about with the Super Greens, kind of withdraw like those effects, and then
running low on time, quickly.
The message,
Okay, the answer is yes. I find that most people with schizophrenia, anxiety, depression, they almost all have a digestive problem because the stomach's job is to take proteins and break them into amino acids. The amino acid tryptophan becomes serotonin in the brain. Tyrosine becomes dopamine. Glutamine becomes GABA. So you got to get the raw materials to produce the neurotransmitters in the brain. So either they're not putting the raw materials in or they're not absorbing them. So maybe they've taken a lot of antacids or heartburn medications which prevent you from absorbing nutrients. Or the stomach is spasmed or the colon is spasmed. They may have taken antibiotics to wipe out the bacteria in their colon. So when I have folks with emotional disorders, we work on the digestive system. We get them on a good diet, probably get them on some probiotics, get them on plants. And most people do really well with it, actually. So, that's my answer. But start with the Super Greens, the Essential Source. And if he has acid reflux or heartburn, if he's ticklish, those are usually signs there's a digestive problem. Those need to get fixed.
And that can the digestive problem can be one of the reasons for the schizophrenia?
It usually is the main reason, or certainly one of the reasons, yeah. Okay?
Wow.
Thanks, Monique. I appreciate you listening. Thanks so much. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. The website, drjoeesposito.com. If you want to order Super Greens, Essential Source, also available on Amazon. The Wellness Booster is great to keep the immune system strong. Seasonal Tonic's another one. The Intestinal Cleanser, all of that, and hundreds of hours of archive radio shows on my blog, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Hey, don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. I'm going to be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. I am so glad you're spending a little time with me. I want to give you information where you can naturally get well and stay well. I want to give you lots of good stuff. So we're talking today about why diets don't work. And we've covered a lot. And if you miss any parts of the show, by the way, you can always go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world. And Health Plus Wellness Center is the name of my clinic. So sometimes that comes up as well. We have a website for that. And it's the same website, but you get there 2 different ways. And we archive or blog hundreds of hours, thousands of hours, actually, of radio shows and videos of live lectures. So if you like to watch videos, we have them. If you like to listen, we have those. If you have questions, you can send them to me through the website. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. If you want information about our supplements, Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster, Seasonal Tonic, Super Greens, Essential Source, Intestinal Cleanser, my books, all that's on the website 24 hours a day. drjoeesposito.com. Just Google Dr. Joe. So we're talking today about weight loss and why diets don't work, and we're going to take a few more calls. If you have a question, 844-44-Dr. But I want you to understand something else about sugar, because, you think sugar is calories, you eat sugar, and it turns into fat, and that's all well and good. But this is some neat research that's been out pretty recently, but you've never heard this before. When you eat a lot of sugar, your pancreas releases something called insulin. Now, you've probably heard that word before. Now, insulin, what it does, it essentially opens up the cells. It's like a lock and a key. It goes into the cell, turns the lock in the cell chemically, and opens up the cell to allow it to accept sugar. And then glucose, the type of sugar that the cell uses as fuel, it gets into the cell and it's utilized. If you eat too much sugar, you produce too much insulin, and the cells now become insulin resistant because they can't open up and let any more sugar in, because too much sugar is going to gunk up the works. And what will happen is the cell can die. So the cell tells the leptin, no, I don't care how hard you try, I'm not going to let you open me up and let sugar in. And eventually some of the cells become insulin resistant, so the sugar stays in the blood, and that's called type 2 diabetes or high blood sugar. But what else happens? Insulin can also act on fat cells. And what happens is insulin can cause the fat cells to open up and allow excess sugar to be stored as fat. It kind of opens up the fat cells too and lets them in. If you cut back dramatically on your sugar intake, the body produces less insulin. So if the body produces less insulin, the same fat cells now will open up and allow fat out to be metabolized. So insulin can either open up fat cells and let them store more fat, or open them up and let the fat, so to speak, drain out. So that's why you got to cut back on your processed sugar, the breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. You've got to cut that out, because if you don't, it's not only bad for your weight, it's bad for your health. So sugars from, let's say, green beans. Okay, there's some sugar in there. That's okay. And maybe you're going to have, if you're going to do a grain, I'd recommend quinoa. If you never had quinoa, it's a grain, and you could use it in place of rice. Make sure you rinse it first. It has an acid taste to it if you don't rinse it. And a little bit of that, not bad, but don't go overboard with it, because it still breaks down into carbohydrates. And we're going to talk a lot more about what other foods you can eat in just a second, but we have lots of callers I want to get to. So, Winston, how can we make your day better?
Hi.
Hi.
This is Winston.
Yes.
Yes, I wanted to ask a quick question about hernia. I have a friend of mine who his doctor told him that he has been having a lot of pain. He has 3 hernias, one on his left and one on his right,
Okay.
and one in his belly button.
Okay, so what
They
happens?
tested him and said he might have metals in his body, but he's not sure yet.
Okay,
They
well,
want him to have surgery.
okay, so what we do with that, a couple of things. Number one, we do a hair analysis. We do several tests in our office. We can do urine analysis, we can do a hair analysis, we do blood analysis, and we can find out what you're allergic to. But the hair analysis is good to find out if you have heavy metal toxicity. So a lot of folks come in and get tested, and you can get heavy metal from inhaling toxic fumes. Car exhaust has mercury in it. Vaccines many times have mercury and aluminum in it. Eating from pots and pans that have aluminum in it. So if it is heavy metal, he needs to give us a call, and we can go through a heavy metal detox with him. The hernia itself, it's usually a tear in the muscle. You have a sheet of muscle, your abdomen. So imagine somebody with a real flat muscular abdomen, and that kind of locks in the organs underneath. If you get a tear in the muscles, it's usually in between the muscles, the intestines can actually start to poke out through these holes, and that's traditionally what we'd call a hernia. So depending how bad the hernia is, he may need surgery. Absolutely. Then we have to find out, why are his muscles so weak? And then we got to get him on a good diet, because a high-acid diet, meats and sugars and dairies and coffees, can weaken the connective tissue, and that could be the reason why he's getting all these tears in his abdomen and getting the intestines sticking out. So
He does a lot of lifting. He lifts in his job. He has to lift.
And that can do it too. So in cases like that, we'd either show them how to lift, show them exercises to build up the muscles, check the nerve supply. Again, we're chiropractors. If you have a pinched nerve going to an organ or a muscle, that organ can't work properly. So I would check the spine. I would probably get them in a lifting belt. I'd teach them how to do abdomen. And sometimes as we get older, we just can't lift what we used to. So that's where that's probably coming from. Okay? Thanks, Winston. I appreciate the call. All right, let's take some callers. Lots of you calling in. Kelsey, how can we make your day better?
So I heard you talking about tryptophan and how it turns into serotonin.
Yes.
There was a study recently that said that a lot of autistic people have trouble turning serotonin or turning tryptophan into serotonin. They have trouble digesting melatonin as well and a few other amino acids, and they think that's part of what causes the developmental issues.
Yep.
So for people that have trouble converting it, what can they do?
Okay, well, a couple of things, and I agree with that 100%. Melatonin is produced in the pineal gland, and so what happens is tryptophan becomes serotonin, serotonin becomes melatonin. So you have to start at the base. So with people like that who have a real tough time getting it, I'll increase their stomach acid. I'll put them on digestive enzymes, especially ones that are protease, it's called, that breaks down protein more efficiently. So many times people that have an autistic issue, they always have a digestive problem, 100% of the time. And I've been doing this for 33 years now. So we massage the stomach. We get them on easily to digest proteins like Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, plants. We then may give them some digestive enzymes to break the proteins into the amino acids. And then we got to make sure they also have vitamin B6, because if you have tryptophan, you need vitamin B6 to convert it into 5-HTP, which then becomes serotonin. So that's what we do with autistic children is we get them on a good diet, easy digest proteins, fix the digestive system, and many of them get amazing results. So there's your answer.
Okay.
Thanks, Kelsey.
Okay.
Appreciate the
yeah,
call. Thanks so much.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Let's see. How we doing? Well, I'm going to talk a little bit here, and then after the break, I'm going to take some more calls. So if you're on hold, please hang on, because I got a lot to cover here, too, but I want to answer your calls as well. And we have a guest screener, Buffy, today. The lovely and talented Miss Buffy's back there answering your calls for you, too. And we have the handsome and multiple talented Ahmad on the board there. But you don't get to see or hear him. Say hi, Ahmad. Say hi to the people.
Hello, everyone.
That's
Hello.
Ahmad, yes. So Ahmad's been with me for years. He's my producer, and I say I got the best-looking producer in radio. Other hosts on this station may disagree, and I think we should have a smackdown is what we should do. So anyway, let's go back to more information here. We talked a little bit about drinking water a while ago, but I want to cover that again. You got to drink water, folks. And when you're drinking water, it helps the brain feel full. So if you're not drinking enough water, try 3, 4, 5, 6 glasses of water a day and have it maybe an hour before your meals or half hour before your meals. You'll be amazed how much less you eat. Hey, I got to go to a break. Follow me on Facebook. This is your homework. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. If you go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, right on the homepage, you can sign up for my newsletter. You can order supplements, make appointments, listen to archived radio shows. The website's amazing, drjoeesposito.com. So much good information packed into that one website. If you want to order the Super Greens, the Essential Source, the Wellness Booster, and the Seasonal Tonic, the Intestinal Cleanser, my books, all on the website, also on Amazon as well. And the number 844-44-Dr. Joe rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. I am so glad that we're spending a little time together. Was that Carol Burnett, right? I'm so glad we had this time together. Well, we still have time, so it's not over yet. She did it at the end of the show. So, but I'm glad you're here. If you're old enough to remember that, good for you. You made it this far. You win the prize. Is that how you win? Right? Whoever lives longest wins. And a lot of that has to do with how you take care of yourself. Now, there are certain things we don't have control over. You may get in a car accident. Gosh, we treat tons of car accidents in our offices. And attorneys, insurance companies love us because we really document the injuries very well. And I always say if the car was damaged, you were damaged. No one can walk away from a car accident. If the car was damaged, they have to be damaged. And so we try to get to the cause of their health care problems and not just treat the symptoms. Because if you have a bone out of place pinching a nerve, many times the exercise, the physical therapy, the other therapies aren't going to do it because you got to get that bone back in place. Then we can do the other therapies along with it. So it's really important you get to the cause of the problem and not just treat the symptoms. And we're talking today about why diets don't work, getting to the cause of why you're overweight, not just going on a diet. Because diets traditionally are short-term. They're usually a little convoluted. not easily to follow. And the problem is then that you might do it. You lose weight. You say, oh, I feel great. I just lost 10 pounds. I'm going to go out and celebrate. Let's go have some ice cream. And there's even machines that you can do that'll help melt fat or freeze fat. And those all might be well and good, and they do work from what I understand, but they're not getting to the cause of the problem. And so many people, when they have that done, say, I just lost 3 inches, or whatever their mind is. I'm going to go out and celebrate. So you got to change your lifestyle regardless of what short-term therapy, if you will, you're going to do. So let's talk about things that might help your metabolism and actually help you lose weight. Chia seeds. Now, chia seeds, they've been used for medicinal food in Central and South America. Many cultures, they're used to prevent diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease. They're loaded with something called anti-inflammatory fats, or omega-3 fatty acids. The problem with chia seeds is that they have an ALA form of omega-3 fatty acids. ALA has to be converted into DHA and EPA. Again, don't get bogged down in a lot of chemistry here. So the plant-based omega-3s have to be converted into the type that we humans would use. That's why people say, well, you should eat fish. Well, I'm not a big fan of fish because of the mercury and lead and toxic chemicals that can be found in it, and I don't eat animal products either. So what do? What do you do if you want to go on a plant-based diet to get enough omega-3 fatty acids? Chia seeds are great. They make you feel full. They clean your bowels out. They make you go to the bathroom. But if you're using them just for the omega-3s, you might want to consider using an algae oil. Algae oil is the best form of omega-3 fatty acids because it's pure. You don't have to worry about contamination with mercury and lead. A little expensive, but it's worth it. It's about $1 a day. So I look at my supplements like this: $1 a day for the algae oil, $1 for the super greens, $1 for the essential source. So there's $3. Then I add vitamin D in the winter. I'll add adrenal supplements, and that may be another 50 cents. So generally speaking, supplement-wise, I spend about $3.50 a day on supplements. You eat so much less food because you're getting the nutrients that you need. You're going to save, most people save a lot more than $3.50. So you actually make money, and you feel better. Chances are you're going to live longer, be healthier, spend less money on health care. So why wouldn't you do that? Cinnamon's another good one. You might want to consider adding cinnamon to your diet. Cinnamon is a fat-burning powerhouse because it boosts the metabolism, and it's even been proven to help block the absorption of glucose and enhance the action of insulin to get sugar out of your blood. So cinnamon is a real good thing you want to add to your diet. And some folks, and I'll do this sometimes too, is I'll add a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of cinnamon to Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source because they're powders. And I mix them with coconut milk or almond milk, and I drink it down that way. And it adds a different flavor to it because sometimes you can get, Super Greens and Essential Source again. They taste great, but I have them every day. And just add a little spin to it. I'm going to take another caller. We got a lot more to cover here. Jim, how can we make your day better?
Good evening. Check this out. I want to find out about this nut drinks. You know, the almond, the coconut, the cashew almond. Now they have one. Then the chocolate vanilla flavors. How does that work into a diet? And is it good to drink those kind of products? Not, a lot, but just how does that work into the diet?
Jim, that's a great question actually, because I use the plant-based milks as well. Almond milk doesn't have a lot of almonds in it, so I don't look at almond milk as a nutrient. I look at it as something to mix my Super Greens and Essential Source with, and I like it. It's not great for you, but it's a gazillion times better than cow's milk. Same thing with cashew milk, same thing with coconut milk. They're good, but they're not really a great source of nutrients. So if I'm going to use a milk, if I'm going to make a recipe, or if I'm going to drink it with my Super Greens and Essential Source, absolutely fine. Not a big fan of the soy milk, but if you're going to do soy, make sure it's an organic soy milk. Don't use the non-organic soy milk. I wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, as you said, for just mixing up your Super Green product, to have that kind of thing, not just to drink it as a dairy product, right, but to use it as a mix for some mixing base.
Right.
Okay, very good.
All right,
Thank you.
Jim. Any other questions?
That's it for now.
Thanks,
Thank
Jim.
you.
Appreciate the call.
Great.
And he was about to say great show, and I cut him off. Sorry, Jim. I'll make believe I knew what Jim was going to say. You're a great show, Dr. Joe. Everyone should listen to you, and every station in the country should carry your show. And I'm sure that's what Jim was going to say, right, Ahmad? That's what he.
Yes, I'm 100% sure.
Ahmad agrees.
You
yes.
just cut him off. Though.
Don't disagree with Ahmad. He's a big, strong guy. So, but we're across the country and around the world with this show, which is great. And I want to thank you. Thanks for listening. And thanks for liking me on Facebook. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram, because we do send out a lot of good information on those two social media outlets. And you don't want to miss anything, because sometimes we have specials on the products. Sometimes we'll do a special bonus show. We'll put it out there. But we save all our shows. We put them on our website. So we have a blog there, video and audio. So whatever you like, it's all there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. With your kids, folks, a lot of people say this too about the Super Greens, the essential source. How can I get my kids to take it? Here's the trick. I take a half a banana, or depending how old the kid is, as long as you're eating solid food, half a banana, quarter banana, a little bit of coconut milk, a little bit of Super Greens and essential source, blend it up into like an ice cream or a smoothie. Amazing. Because if you know most kids, they have a horrible diet, and you start giving them something like super high concentrated Super Greens and essential source, it's supercharging these kids. So it's really awesome, and I hope someday that every parent gives their kids things like Dr. Joe's Super Greens and essential source and a good diet. We're in a interesting time. I was talking to Buffy before we went on the air, and we were talking about how it's so different than when we were kids, and it is. But one of the things the kids do, they don't have the exercise and the activity that we had. You got to get them the nutrition. Because if you have to choose between nutrition and exercise, I'd rather you choose the nutrition, but I want you to do both. Folks, the music says I got to go, so if you have a question, you can go to my website, drjoeesposito.com. You can call my offices at 844-44-DR-JOE. That number rings through, during regular business hours. And but get your kids checked. Get your spine checked if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain. Chances are you're suffering needlessly. And the biggest complaint I get, and I've been doing this for 33 years now, is why didn't I do this sooner? Hey, folks, I got to run. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Thanks for telling your friends about the show, and we'll catch you next time.